The church was suffocating, the air thick with incense and betrayal. I stood at the edge of the pews, my hands trembling as I clutched the program for my father's funeral. James Carter, tech titan, visionary, my hero, gone. Seattle's gray skies pressed against the stained glass windows, casting fractured light across the mourners, but their whispers cut sharper than any shard. "She's only here for the money," one hissed. "Ungrateful daughter," another sneered. My family, my own blood, had turned me into a pariah at my father's farewell. I was Emma Carter, 30 years old, and I'd never felt so alone. Then the lights went out. A collective gasp rippled through the crowd. The organ's mournful hum died, plunging St. Paul's Cathedral into eerie silence. Darkness swallowed the room, broken only by the flicker of a few candles on the altar. My heart pounded, a primal instinct screaming that something was wrong, more wrong than the venomous glares I'd endured all morning. A glass shattered somewhere in the back, and a woman yelped. Chaos stirred like a waking beast. "Emma!" My brother Liam's voice boomed, slicing through the murmurs. "Stop playing games. We all know why you're here. To steal Dad's fortune." His words landed like a slap, and the crowd's whispers surged, emboldened by the blackout's anonymity. I froze, my breath catching as I pictured his smug face. That cruel smirk he'd perfected over years of tearing me down. The lights flickered back on, weak and buzzing, revealing Liam standing at the front, his tailored suit pristine, his eyes glinting with malice. Mourners turned, their stares pinning me like a bug under glass. I wanted to scream, to tell them he was lying, but my voice betrayed me, lodged somewhere deep in my chest. I wasn't here for money. I was here for Dad. For the man who'd taught me to code by firelight during our camping trips in the Pacific Northwest. Who'd laughed when I debugged my first program at 10. Who'd called me his little cipher with pride in his eyes. James Carter wasn't just the founder of Carter Tech, a $2 billion, 0-cents cybersecurity empire. He was the anchor of my world, even when that world had cracked. But now, standing in this sea of judgment, I wondered if I'd lost him, long before his private jet plummeted into the Cascades last week. The priest cleared his throat, urging calm, but the tension lingered like smoke. I slid into a pew at the back, my black dress clinging to my sweat-damp skin. My best friend, Claire, had texted she was on her way from San Francisco, but until she arrived, I was alone, against Liam and his army of loyalists. My cousin Sophie, perched in the front row, tossed her blonde hair and whispered to Uncle Greg, who chuckled darkly. They believed Liam's narrative, that I'd abandoned Dad, betrayed Carter Tech, and now slunk back to claim an inheritance I didn't deserve. The truth was messier, buried under years of lies and silence, but who would believe me now? I stared at the mahogany casket, draped in white roses, and my throat tightened. "Dad, I'm here. I'm sorry. Sorry for the fights, the distance, the things we never said. Sorry I couldn't save you." The jet crash had been ruled an accident. Engine failure, they said. But a nagging doubt gnawed at me. Dad's planes were maintained with military precision. He'd survived boardroom coups and cyber attacks. A mechanical glitch felt too convenient. I pushed the thought away. Grief was making me paranoid. The service began, the priest's voice droning about Dad's legacy. Carter Tech's rise from a garage startup to a global powerhouse, securing everything from Pentagon servers to Silicon Valley startups. I tuned him out, my mind drifting to those camping trips in Olympic National Park. Dad would set up our tent by Lake Quinault, his calloused hands deft from years of soldering circuit boards. "Life's like coding, Emma," he'd say, his voice warm as the campfire. "You'll hit errors, bugs, crashes. Debug them, keep running." I'd nod, scribbling algorithms in my notebook, dreaming of building something as big as Carter Tech someday. He believed in me then. What changed? Liam changed it. 7 years my senior, he'd always been a shadow over my achievements. When I won my first coding competition at 12, he stayed up all night to outscore me in the next one. When I hacked a mock NSA server for fun at 15, he sneered, "That's cute, but I'm designing Carter-Tech's new fire." Dad never saw the venom in Liam's rivalry, or if he did, he thought it was harmless. "Your brother's got a knack for R&D, he'd say, clapping Liam's shoulder. "You'll handle partnerships, Emma. You're a natural with people." He'd mapped our futures without asking, assuming we'd both join Carter-Tech, his pride and joy. But I had other plans. Cryptography called me like a siren. By 18, I was winning global hackathons, cracking systems for sport while staying on the right side of the law. My ethical hacking caught MIT's eye, and when I chose it over Dad's alma mater, Stanford, all hell broke loose. I still remember the gala at Carter-Tech's headquarters, the Seattle skyline glittering through floor-to-ceiling windows. I was 19, nervous in my first cocktail dress, when Dad cornered me by the champagne fountain. "MIT? Hacking? It's reckless, Emma!" he thundered, his face red. "Carter-Tech needs you, not some ivory tower stunt," I fired back. "This is my dream, not yours." The room fell silent, executives and investors watching our implosion. Liam swooped in, all charm, promising to keep the company safe. From that night, he became Dad's golden heir, and I became the traitor. The organ swelled, snapping me back to the present. Liam was striding to the podium for his eulogy, his posture radiating ownership. I braced myself. "My father," he began, his voice thick with rehearsed emotion, "was my mentor, my rock. We worked side by side, building Carter-Tech into a fortress." He paused, his eyes flicking to me. Family meant everything to him. Loyalty, duty, showing up. The subtext was a blade. I hadn't shown up. The crowd nodded, eating his lies. He spun tales of late-night strategy sessions, of Dad's pride in his true son. I clenched my fists, nails biting my palms. Those were my nights with Dad once, decoding encryption puzzles by lantern light. Liam had stolen my memories and rewritten them as his own. Then it happened. The projector behind Liam flickered, and my face appeared on the screen. Grainy, 17, from a juvenile hacking incident I'd buried years ago. The crowd gasped as text scrolled. Emma Carter, cyber criminal. My stomach dropped. This wasn't an accident. Someone had hacked the system, and I knew who. Liam's lips twitched, barely hiding a smirk. Mourners whispered furiously. Sophie pointed at me like I was a sideshow. I bolted to the control booth, my heels clicking on the stone floor, and yanked the projector's cable. The screen went black, but the damage was done. My past, expunged irrelevant, was now a public spectacle. Liam had weaponized it to destroy me. I returned to my seat, my face burning as the priest resumed the service. Claire slipped in beside me, her hand finding mine. "What the hell was that?" she whispered, her eyes wide. "Liam," I muttered. "He's not stopping until I'm erased." She squeezed my hand. "You're not alone, Em. We'll get through this." Her presence anchored me, but the weight of the day pressed harder. The service ended, and mourners spilled into the reception hall, a sterile space, with coffee urns and platters of soggy sandwiches. I grabbed a cup, needing something to steady my hands, when Liam approached, flanked by Sophie and Uncle Greg. "Enjoying the show, Emma?" Liam's voice was low, venomous, but loud enough for nearby guests to hear. "Must be nice to waltz back after years of screwing over Dad." I met his gaze, refusing to flinch. "This isn't the place, Liam. We're here for Dad." He laughed, sharp and bitter. "For Dad? You didn't care when he was dying. Too busy playing hacker in San Francisco. You're here for the will, and you'll get nothing." Sophie snickered, spilling her wine on my dress, the red stain spreading like blood. Greg leaned in, his voice cold. "Just leave, Emma. You're not family anymore." Their laughter echoed, a chorus of cruelty, and I felt the room shrink, eyes boring into me from every corner. I could have run. Every nerve screamed to flee, to escape this nightmare where my own family despised me, but I stayed, rooted by a stubborn spark Dad had ignited years ago. Debug the errors, keep running. I owed it to him to see this through, to face whatever came next. "I'm staying," I said quietly, my voice steadier than I felt. He was my father, too. Liam's smile was predatory. "Suit yourself. Tomorrow's will reading will be illuminating." He walked away, his allies trailing like vultures, leaving me in a sea of hostile glances. Claire pulled me to a corner by the windows, rain streaking the glass. "They're toxic," she said, her voice fierce. "Liam's got them brainwashed, but you know the truth." I nodded, but doubt crept in. Had I fought hard enough for Dad? My mind flashed to San Francisco, to my startup, Nexus, built on a quantum encryption algorithm I'd dreamed up at MIT. I'd sent Dad prototypes, hoping he'd see my work wasn't rebellion but a tribute to his legacy. He never replied. Liam had sued Nexus, claiming I'd stolen Carter Tech's code, nearly bankrupting me. I'd survived, but the cost was steep. Dad's silence, his frailty, I'd glimpsed last Thanksgiving, dismissed by Liam as just stress. The worst came months ago when I called Dad to share Nexus's acquisition by Google. I was giddy, thinking it might bridge our gap. He cut me off, his voice icy. "Focus on family, not fame." It was our last call, and it broke me. I didn't know then that Liam had fed him lies, claiming I'd hacked Carter Tech's servers for profit. I didn't know Dad was planning to fly to San Francisco to see my office to apologize. I didn't know his jet would crash, or that the burn mark I'd seen on his body at the funeral home hinted at something sinister. Now, standing in this hostile hall, I felt a chill. Liam's confidence about the will wasn't just bravado. He'd bragged about Dad rewriting it last year, cutting me out after I'd skipped his birthday. But I'd sent a card, a video, poured my heart into it. Had it reached him, or had Liam intercepted it like so many others? My phone buzzed in my pocket and I glanced at the screen. A notification from an unknown number. "You're not safe. Leave Seattle." My pulse spiked. Was this Liam's next move, or something darker? I remembered the hackathon at MIT, my laptop sabotaged, nearly leaking Pentagon data. The car brakes failing on Highway 1, the ocean yawning below. The apartment hack, my lights pulsing, Liam's distorted voice taunting me. Each time I'd escaped, but the threats were escalating. Claire noticed my unease. "What's wrong?" I showed her the text, and her face hardened. "We're not running. You face that will reading, Emma. Whatever's in it, you're stronger than they know." I nodded, but my mind raced. Tomorrow, at Sterling and Voss, I'd learn Dad's final verdict. Liam expected me to be disinherited, humiliated, driven out. But Dad's cryptic visit to my Pentagon summit, his quiet pride, lingered in my memory. What if he'd seen through Liam's lies? What if the will held secrets no one expected? As we left the church, rain soaking us, I glanced back at the casket's shadow. "I'm here, Dad. Whatever comes, I'll keep running." But in my gut, I knew the truth was waiting, a truth that could either save me or destroy everything I'd fought for. The rain hadn't stopped, hammering Seattle streets as I sat in my hotel room, staring at the anonymous text on my phone. "You're not safe. Leave Seattle." My hands shook, the words blurring through unshed tears. Claire slept on the pull-out couch, her soft snores a faint comfort against the storm raging outside and inside me. The funeral had been a battlefield, Liam's lies and the hacked projector exposing my past to a room of strangers who'd already judged me. But tomorrow's will reading at Sterling and Voss loomed larger, a ticking bomb I couldn't defuse. Liam's smirk, His certainty that Dad had cut me out gnawed at my resolve. Had Dad believed the lies? Or was there something else? Something he'd left behind to prove he still saw me as his little cipher. I opened my laptop, my fingers hovering over the keys. The burn mark I'd seen on Dad's body at the funeral home flashed in my mind. Irregular. Too precise for an accident. The jet crash report, leaked to the press, claimed engine failure, but Carter Tech's fleet was maintained like NASA's. I'd hacked enough systems to know accidents could be staged. My gut screamed sabotage, and Liam's delay in telling me about Dad's death felt like a cover-up. I needed answers, but diving into Carter Tech's servers risked everything. My reputation, my company nexus, my safety. The text warning me to leave wasn't a prank. I'd survived too many accidents to ignore it. The sabotaged laptop at MIT, the brake failure on Highway 1, the hacked apartment. Each time I'd traced the attack but found no proof linking Liam. He was too smart, too careful. A soft knock jolted me. Claire stirred but didn't wake. I crept to the door, my pulse racing, and peered through the peephole. A hotel staffer held a small package, his face blank under the fluorescent light. "Delivery for Emma Carter," he said, voice flat. I hesitated, then opened the door a crack, keeping the chain locked. "Who's it from?" He shrugged, handing me a padded envelope. No return address, just my name scrawled in sharp black ink. I shut the door, my hands cold as I tore it open. Inside was a USB drive, unmarked, and a note. "James wanted you to have this. Trust no one." My breath caught. Dad? Or a trap? I plugged the drive into my laptop, running it through my custom encryption scanner first. Clean, no malware, but the files were locked with a cipher I recognized. Dad's old AES 256 key, one we designed together when I was 15, a playful challenge during a camping trip. My chest tightened as I entered the passphrase, Little Cipher 92. The drive opened, revealing a single video file labeled for Emma. I glanced at Claire, still asleep, and hit play. Dad's face filled the screen, his silver hair catching the light in his Carter Tech office. He looked tired but resolute, the Seattle skyline dim behind him. "Emma," he began, his voice low, "if you're watching this, I'm gone. And I'm sorry. Sorry for the years we lost, for believing lies I should have questioned." My eyes stung as he leaned forward, his gaze piercing. "I found something. Proof Liam's been keeping us apart. He's been intercepting your messages, your calls, even your Nexus prototypes. But it's worse than that. He's betrayed Carter Tech, betrayed me." He held up a folder, his hands trembling. "I hired a forensic auditor. Liam's embezzled millions, sabotaged our AI projects. I was coming to San Francisco to tell you to make this right. If I didn't make it, dig deeper. The truth is in the vault." The video cut off abruptly, leaving me staring at a black screen. My heart pounded. The vault? What vault? And the jet crash? Dad's words hinted at foul play. I replayed the video, pausing on the folder. A logo peeked out, barely visible. Obsidian Trust. My mind raced. Obsidian Trust was a $4,200,000,000 zero-cents fund, rumored to bankroll Carter Tech's riskiest ventures. Did Dad hide evidence there? I opened a secure browser and searched, but Obsidian's records were a black hole, accessible only through private keys. If Liam was involved, he'd covered his tracks well. A crash outside snapped me back. The window rattled, rain mixing with something heavier. Gravel? I peered through the blinds and froze. A shadow moved across the parking lot, a figure in a black hoodie, pausing under a streetlight. My phone buzzed again. Last warning. Leave. I grabbed my jacket, adrenaline surging. "Claire, wake up!" She bolted upright, eyes wide. "What's happening?" I showed her the text and pointed outside. "Someone's watching us. We need to move." She didn't hesitate, grabbing her bag as we slipped out the back exit, my mind spinning with Dad's video and the figure in the dark. We ducked into a 24-hour diner across the street, the neon sign buzzing like my nerves. Over greasy coffee, I told Claire about the USB. "Liam's been playing us for years," I said, my voice shaking. "He stole my messages, turned Dad against me, and now I think he's behind the crash." Claire's face hardened. "Then we go to the will reading tomorrow and expose him. Whatever's in that will, it's your leverage." I nodded, but fear clawed at me. Liam wasn't just manipulative. He was dangerous. The car breaks, the apartment hack, now this. What was he hiding in that vault? Morning came too fast, the sky still bruised with clouds. I dressed in a black blazer, my hacker's instincts on high alert. Claire offered to come, but I shook my head. "This is my fight. Call me if anything feels off." She hugged me, fierce and quick. "You're tougher than he thinks, Em. Don't let him win." I stepped into the rain, the USB drive burning a hole in my pocket, and headed to Sterling and Voss. The law firm's office towered over downtown Seattle, a glass monolith Dad had helped finance. The elevator ride to the top floor felt like an eternity, my reflection pale in the polished walls. When the doors opened, Liam was already there, seated at the head of a sleek conference table, surrounded by Uncle Greg, Cousin Sophie, and Carter Tech's VP, Mark Reynolds. Their chatter stopped as I entered, Liam's smirk sharp as a blade. "Emma, you showed up," he said, gesturing to a lone chair at the table's far end. "Thought you'd run back to San Francisco by now." I sat, ignoring the whispers, my eyes scanning for cameras or bugs. Paranoid? Maybe. But after last night, I trusted nothing. Mark leaned over, his voice dripping with condescension. "Liam's got Carter Tech's future locked in. Don't expect a handout." I bit back a retort, my focus on Daniel Voss, Dad's attorney, who entered with a laptop and a grim expression. "Thank you all for coming," he said, his voice steady despite the tension. "James left explicit instructions for today. We'll start with a holographic will he recorded 3 weeks ago." Liam's smirk faltered, a crack in his armor. "A hologram?" he asked, leaning forward. "He never mentioned that." Voss nodded. "James was private about it. He insisted everyone named in the will be present. He listed names. Liam, me, Greg, Sophie, key board members, each nodding as their presence was confirmed. The lights dimmed, and a projector hummed to life. Dad's hologram flickered into existence at the table's center, lifelike and haunting. He sat in his office, navy suit, crisp, eyes heavy with something unspoken. My throat tightened. "Hello, everyone," he said, his voice echoing through the room. "If you're seeing this, I'm gone. There are truths I need to share, truths I didn't see until it was too late." The room fell silent, every eye on Dad. Liam shifted, his fingers drumming the table. "This is about family," Dad continued, "about betrayal and forgiveness. Emma, this is for you, most of all." My breath caught as his gaze seemed to find me. "I'm sorry. Sorry for believing lies about you, for letting distance grow. You deserved better." Murmurs rippled through the room, Sophie's eyes widening. Liam's face darkened. "6 months ago," Dad said, "I found a hidden server in Liam's office. Your messages, Emma, your prototypes, all intercepted. He kept us apart deliberately." I gasped, tears pricking my eyes. Liam stood, his chair scraping. "This is nonsense." Dad was stressed, confused. Voss raised a hand. "Mr. Carter, sit. James' instructions are clear. No interruptions." Liam sank back, his jaw tight. Dad's hologram pressed on. "I hired a forensic auditor. Liam's embezzled $50 million 0 cents from Carter Tech, sabotaged our AI projects, even bribed regulators. Worse, I suspect he tampered with my jet." The room erupted, Greg shouting, "That's absurd." But Dad's voice cut through. "I have proof. Financial records, communications, all with Obsidian Trust. Emma, you'll find it in the second vault. The second vault. My mind raced back to the USB's cryptic message. Liam's face was ashen, his earlier confidence gone. I was coming to San Francisco, Dad said, his voice softening. I wanted to see Nexus, to tell you I'd secretly funded your seed round through a shell company. I believed in you, Emma, always. My heart shattered. He'd supported me, even when I thought he'd turned away. To Liam, Dad said, his tone hardening, I leave $1 million, 0 cents in trust, contingent on a federal ethics probe and your resignation from Carter Tech. You've lost your way, son. Liam slammed his fist on the table, but Dad continued. To Emma, I leave 60% of Carter Tech, my estate, and the quantum computing lab. You're the one to lead with your integrity and vision. The room exploded. Greg yelling, Sophie gasping, board members exchanging panicked glances. I've also created the James Carter Cybersecurity Institute, Dad said, for Emma to direct, to inspire the next generation. He looked at me, his hologram flickering. I love you both. I hope this heals what's broken. The hologram vanished, and silence crashed over us. Liam's laughter broke it, harsh and unhinged. You think you can run Carter Tech? He spat, glaring at me. You're a hacker, not a leader. The board will eat you alive. Mark nodded, but others avoided my eyes, uncertainty creeping in. Voss cleared his throat. We'll recess before reviewing the written will. James left evidence of Liam's actions, records, recordings, enough to end careers. Liam stormed out, the doors slamming behind him. The others filed out, whispering, casting wary glances my way. Voss stayed, gathering papers. Did you know? I asked, my voice barely audible. He nodded. James was devastated when he found Liam's server. He kept your hackathon trophies in his desk, Emma. He was so proud. I left the office, my mind reeling. The USB, the vault, the jet crash, pieces of a puzzle I had to solve. In the parking garage, shadows moved and my heart leapt. 2 figures in masks lunged, one grabbing my arm. Drop the will, fighter, you're next, one hissed. I twisted free, adrenaline surging, but a car screeched to a halt. Claire leaning out the window. Get in! I dove inside as the attackers fled, my breath ragged. What the hell was that? Claire demanded. I clutched the USB. Liam's not done. There's a vault. Evidence. I need to find it. Back at the hotel, I hacked into Obsidian Trust's public filings, finding a reference to a secure server in Carter Tech's quantum lab. It was a start, but dangerous. Liam's reach was deeper than I'd feared, and the board's ultimatum echoed, drop the ethics probe or they'd oust me. My phone buzzed. A leaked tabloid headline, Emma Carter blackmailed father for Carter Tech control. Liam's forged documents were already spreading. I needed to act fast. I moved to Seattle, taking over Dad's mansion, now mine. Hostile employees greeted me at Carter Tech, whispering about Liam's vision. Death threats arrived daily, anonymous but chilling. At my first shareholder meeting, Liam crashed the stage, his face on every screen via a hacked feed. But you killed Dad, he roared, accusing me of rigging the jet's autopilot. The crowd surged, shouting until I grabbed the mic. Check the audit. Liam's the one with blood on his hands. Security dragged him out, but the damage lingered, doubt in every face. In Dad's study, I found an encrypted drive hidden in a false book, my childhood code etched on it. Inside was a journal, his handwriting raw. Emma's nexus is brilliant. I was blind, letting Liam poison us. The vault holds the truth. Liam's bribes, his sabotage. I pray she finds it. Tears fell as I read his final entry. I'm flying to her tomorrow. I'll tell her I love her, that she's my legacy. I clutched the drive, my resolve steeling. The vault was real, and I'd find it, no matter the cost. I launched the James Carter Cybersecurity Institute. Its first event, a hackathon for underserved kids. Standing before the crowd, I felt Dad's presence. "My father taught me to debug life's errors," I said, my voice steady. "This institute is his dream. And mine." The applause was thunderous, but a final journal note haunted me. "Liam's reach is deeper than you know." As I stepped off the stage, a new text arrived. "The vault isn't yours yet." I smiled, my hacker's heart racing. Let Liam come. I was ready to debug this war.